She told me to leave for the village to clear my mind before our wedding. I trusted her with everything I had. But while I was gone, she slowly erased me from her life, and replaced me with someone who had more power, more money, more control. When I finally returned, I wasn't just unwanted, I was already written out of her world. What she never expected was that the man she discarded would come back not broken, but rebuilt. And this time I didn't come back to beg, I came back to change everything. Why do I need to go there, Elena? I asked, holding her hands tightly. She didn't look at me. Instead, she forced a small smile and said, "You're overthinking everything. The village will help you clear your mind before the wedding." I frowned. Clear my mind? Or clear me out of your life? She finally looked at me then. For a second I saw something in her eyes, hesitation. But it disappeared fast. "Don't be dramatic," she said softly. "I still love you. I just want you to be ready for everything." I nodded slowly, even though something inside me felt wrong. "If this is what you want, I'll go." She touched my face gently. "Good. Trust me." So I did. The village was quiet in a way that didn't feel peaceful. It felt empty. The kind of empty that presses on your chest when you're alone too long. I stood outside the small house and tried calling Elena. No signal. I walked a little further. Still nothing. "What kind of place is this?" I muttered. Nora, the housekeeper who brought me here, avoided my eyes. I asked her, "Does this place always have no network?" She hesitated. "It depends." "That's not an answer," I said. She quickly turned away. "If you need anything, just call the caretaker." I laughed a little. "Call who?" "There's no signal." She didn't respond. That was the first time I felt something was wrong. That night I tried calling Elena again and again. Ring, nothing. Ring, nothing. I sat on the bed and whispered, "Answer me, please." Silence answered instead. I texted her. "Are you okay?" No reply. I frowned. This is not like her. I tried to convince myself she was just busy. But my chest didn't believe it. The next morning Victor called me. "Where are you?" he asked immediately. "Some rural village," I said. "Elena sent me here." There was a pause. "Sent you?" he repeated. "Yes. She said I need space before the wedding." Victor went quiet for a second too long. Then he said, "Listen to me carefully." I frowned. "What?" His voice dropped. "You should not trust everything you're being told." My grip tightened on the phone. "What does that mean?" But he said nothing more. "Victor." I called. The line cut. I stared at my phone. "Why is everyone acting strange?" I whispered. Days passed like slow poison. No calls from Elena. No messages. Only silence. I started remembering things I ignored before. Her late-night meetings with Daniel Voss. The way her family always looked at me like I didn't belong. The way she sometimes went quiet when I asked simple questions. I shook my head. No. I'm imagining things. But doubt doesn't need permission. It grows anyway. One evening, I sat outside the small house when my phone finally vibrated. My heart jumped. "Elena," I whispered. I opened the message. Only one line. "Stay there. Don't come back yet. Elena." I stared at it for a long time. My throat went dry. I whispered, "Not come back?" My hands started shaking. Then everything clicked in a way I didn't want to understand. "She didn't send me here for peace," I said slowly. I looked around the empty village, suddenly feeling trapped instead of safe. My voice broke as I finished the thought. I was sent here to be removed. "I'm back," I said quietly as I stood outside the Carter mansion gate. The guard looked at me like I didn't belong there. "You don't have an appointment." "I don't need one," I replied. "I just need to see Elena." He didn't move. I took a breath and stepped back. "Fine. I'll wait." Minutes turned into an hour. Then I saw her. Elena walked out slowly like she already knew I was there. "I knew you'd come," she said without emotion. I stepped forward. "Then talk to me. Tell me the truth. Am I still your fiancé?" She looked away immediately. "Don't do this here." "Answer me," I said, my voice shaking. "Am I still your fiancé?" She stayed silent for a moment. Then she said softly, "I need time." I laughed, but it came out broken. "Time?" I repeated. "Time for what? For him?" Her eyes flickered for a second. But she still didn't answer. That silence hit me harder than any insult. "So that's it?" I asked. "No explanation? No honesty?" "Elena," I stepped closer. "Look at me." She finally looked at me, but it wasn't the same look anymore. It was distant. Please, she said quietly. Don't make this harder. I clenched my jaw. Harder for who? Me or you? She didn't respond. I nodded slowly. Right. I see it now. I turned away before she could see my face. My chest felt tight like I couldn't breathe properly. Wait, I heard her say behind me. But I kept walking. Because if I stopped, I knew I would fall apart right there. Later that night, I met Celine in a quiet cafe. She didn't even sit properly before speaking. You shouldn't be here, she whispered. I looked at her. What? Because I still care about your sister? Her hands shook slightly. Because you're not the problem. I frowned. Then what am I? She hesitated. You're just the one they chose to remove. I froze. What does that even mean? I asked. She looked down. I shouldn't be telling you this. Celine, I said firmly. Tell me. But she shook her head and stood up. I've already said too much. And she walked away before I could stop her. The next day Victor called me again. You were right to be suspicious, he said. I tightened my grip on the phone. About what? There are financial records, he continued. Daniel Voss has been influencing the Carter business for months. I closed my eyes. So it's not just me, I whispered. Victor paused. No. It's bigger than you. I sat down slowly. Everything I believed started cracking inside me. That night I stared at my reflection in the mirror. My voice came out low. I wasn't in a relationship. I swallowed hard. I corrected myself. I was in a replacement. I need to see Elena, I said as I stepped toward the Carter mansion gate. The security guard blocked me immediately. You're not allowed inside. I frowned. Since when? Since you were told to leave, he replied coldly. My jaw tightened. Who told you that? He didn't answer. I tried to step forward again, but another guard moved in front of me. Leave, he said. I looked past them and saw her. Elena. She stood beside Daniel Voss. Like she belonged there. Like I didn't exist. I raised my voice. Elena. She turned slowly. But she didn't come closer. Daniel leaned toward her and whispered something, then looked at me. He smiled. A slow, confident smile. He walked toward the gate instead. You're still here? Daniel said as he stopped in front of me. I clenched my fist. Move. He chuckled. You don't understand your position anymore. I stepped forward. I said move. He didn't move. Instead, he tilted his head and said clearly, you were temporary. That word hit me harder than I expected. Temporary. It repeated in my head again and again. My breath slowed. I looked at Elena. Is that what I am to you? I asked. She looked away. That silence answered everything. I walked away without saying another word. Each step felt heavier. Not because I lost her, but because I realized I never truly had her. That night Victor called me. You shouldn't be alone right now, he said. I'm fine, I replied. You're not fine, he snapped. Meet me. Now. We met at a small office downtown. Victor wasn't alone. A man in a suit sat across the table. This is Ethan Cole, Victor said. He's a lawyer. Ethan looked at me carefully. I've reviewed your situation. I sat down slowly. What situation? He slid a folder toward me. Financial records, he said. You were involved in business transfers without proper consent. I frowned. I don't understand. Ethan's voice stayed calm. They didn't just betray you emotionally. He paused. They used you financially too. My chest tightened instantly. I opened my mouth but nothing came out. For the first time since this started. I didn't cry. I just whispered, what do I do? Ethan leaned forward. We fight back. Victor nodded beside me. I told you I'm with you. I looked at both of them. Everything I had lost, everything I had been erased from. I felt something change inside me. I picked up the pen. But my hand didn't shake. I signed the documents. Not for revenge yet. Not for anger. But because I refused to disappear. You came again, I said when I saw Celine standing near my office door. She didn't smile. She just held a small folder tighter in her hands. I shouldn't be here, she whispered. Then why are you? I asked. She stepped inside slowly. Because I couldn't sleep after last time. I leaned back. What did you bring now? Celine looked down. Proof. My chest tightened slightly. Proof of what? She opened the folder. Recordings, she said. Messages, and contracts. I stared at her. Celine, you're serious? Her hands were shaking. I didn't want to believe it either. I took the folder slowly. Why are you doing this? She hesitated. I can't watch them destroy you anymore. That sentence stayed in my head longer than I expected. I looked at her carefully. Why help me? She looked up at me, eyes red but steady. Because you were the only honest person in that house. I didn't speak immediately. Those words hit deeper than anything Elena ever said. I whispered, honest, or just naive? Celine shook her head quickly. No. Honest. Later that night Victor joined us. He looked at the documents and whistled low. This is bigger than we thought. I asked, how big? Victor pointed at the contracts. This involves company manipulation, illegal transfers, hidden approvals. I leaned forward. So Elena knew? Celine answered quietly, not everything, but enough. My jaw tightened. And she still chose silence? Celine didn't deny it. That silence answered again. Nora met me the next morning. She looked nervous as always. I shouldn't be here, she said immediately. But you are, I replied. She nodded slowly. I need to tell you something. I gestured. Go on. Her voice dropped. Elena had doubts. I frowned. Doubts about what? About leaving you, Nora said. But her family, and Daniel, they pressured her. I clenched my fist. So she had a choice. Nora nodded. Yes. I looked away. So she chose them, I whispered. Nora said nothing. That night, Celine called me quietly. I need to tell you something, she said. Say it, I replied. Her voice shook. My family built their empire on lies. I closed my eyes. She continued, and I've been part of it without realizing how deep it goes. I said softly, why tell me this now? Because I can't carry it anymore, she replied. Silence followed. Then I spoke. Truth always finds its way out. Celine whispered, even from the darkest houses. I nodded slowly even though she couldn't see me. Even from the darkest houses. Check this, Ethan said as he pushed his laptop toward me. I leaned forward. What am I looking at? Financial trails, he replied. Daniel Voss has been moving company funds through hidden accounts. I frowned. And you can prove it? Ethan nodded. More than prove it. We can expose it. Victor whistled low. So it's finally happening. I asked, how fast can this blow up? Ethan looked at me seriously. If we release this, investors will run. Then release it, I said immediately. Within days, everything started collapsing. Victor called me. It's working. Investors are pulling out. I stayed calm. Good. He laughed slightly. You sound like you expected this. I replied, I did. Ethan met me again that evening. Mr. Carter is panicking, he said. I asked, finally? Yes, Ethan replied. He's trying to control damage, but it's too late. I leaned back. So the empire is shaking. Ethan nodded. And it's going to fall further. My phone rang. Elena. I stared at the screen. Victor looked at it. Answer it. I didn't move. It rang again. Then stopped. I put the phone down. Victor asked quietly, you're not going to pick up? I shook my head. No, I said. He frowned. Because you're angry? I looked at him. No. He waited. I added, because I finally stopped waiting for her. Later that night, Celine sat across from me. She didn't speak at first. Then she said, everything is falling apart over there. I replied, it was already broken. We just showed it. She nodded slowly. Still, it feels unreal. I looked at her. Truth usually does. Victor arrived later and studied me for a long moment. Then he said, you're changing. I looked at him. No. He raised an eyebrow. No. I said quietly, I'm finally becoming who I should have been. Victor didn't reply right away. Then he smiled. Took you long enough. I almost smiled too. Celine stayed silent beside me. Not trying to fix anything. Not trying to replace anything. Just there. And for the first time I understood it. She wasn't filling a space Elena left behind. She was someone who had lived through silence too. And didn't fear it anymore. It's done, Ethan said on the phone. I paused. What is? Daniel Voss has been arrested for fraud. I closed my eyes for a second. So it finally happened. Victor's voice came in next. You won't believe the news. The Carter Company is collapsing publicly. I leaned back. Not surprised. By evening, the city was talking about nothing else. Victor met me outside the office. Media is destroying them, he said. Every channel, every headline. I nodded slowly. That's what happens when truth comes out. He studied me. You're not celebrating. I replied. Should I? Victor shook his head. No. I just thought you'd feel something. I looked at him. I do. Just not what you expect. Rain started falling that night. Celine stood beside me under the small shelter outside the building. She whispered, "Everything is falling apart faster than I thought." I said, "It was always going to end like this." She looked at me. "Do you feel better now?" I answered honestly, "I feel nothing." She didn't respond. Then I saw her. Elena. She walked toward me through the rain. Slow steps. Wet hair. Shaking hands. Victor tensed beside me. "Do you want me to stop her?" I shook my head. No. Celine stayed silent behind me. Elena stopped in front of me. "I made a mistake," she said. Her voice cracked. "Everything. I ruined everything." I looked at her for a long moment. No anger. No sadness. Just distance. "You didn't make a mistake," I said finally. She looked up quickly. "I didn't?" I shook my head. "No. You made a choice." Her lips trembled. I was pressured. I cut her off. Choices have endings. Silence fell between us. Only rain filled it. Her eyes filled with tears. "Please? I didn't mean for it to go this far." I didn't move. Didn't soften. Didn't react. Because something inside me was already gone. That version of me, the one who waited, who hoped, who forgave too easily, was already buried. Victor stepped closer and whispered, "Say something else." "Anything." I shook my head slightly. "No," I said. Elena whispered, "Do you hate me?" I answered quietly, "No." She looked confused. "Then why do I feel like I lost you completely?" I finally looked at Celine for a second. Then back at Elena. And I said the truth she didn't want to hear. "You didn't lose me today." I paused. "You lost me the moment you let me leave." Elena broke down silently. But I didn't stay. I turned away. Celine walked beside me without a word. And for the first time, Elena understood what silence really meant. Not forgiveness. Not anger. Just finality. "Months are passing faster than I thought," Victor said one evening as we sat outside the office. I nodded. "Yeah. It doesn't feel like the same life anymore." Victor smirked slightly. "That's because it isn't." Ethan walked in with a stack of files. "Your case updates are clean now," he said. I looked up. "Clean?" He nodded. "Everything tied to you has been legally cleared. You're starting fresh." I leaned back. "So it's really over?" Ethan replied, "For them, yes. For you, it's just beginning." Victor laughed. "That sounds dramatic." Ethan shrugged. "It's the truth." I smiled slightly. He's right. Celine arrived later that evening. She didn't speak immediately. She just sat beside me. After a long silence, she asked quietly, "Do you still feel angry?" Victor glanced at me but stayed silent. I thought about it for a moment. All the nights. The silence. The betrayal. The collapse. Then I shook my head. "No," I said. "I feel free." Celine looked at me carefully. "Free or empty?" I answered honestly, "Free." A small smile appeared on her face. "That sounds like healing." Victor leaned forward. "You've changed a lot, you know that?" I replied, "I had to." Ethan added, "Most people don't survive what you went through." I looked at him. I didn't survive it. I rebuilt from it. Later that night I walked alone for a while. Celine followed at a distance. She finally spoke. "Do you ever think about her?" I didn't stop walking. "Not the way I used to." She asked softly, "What changed?" I answered, "I stopped waiting for a version of her that never existed for me." Silence followed. Then she said, "That sounds painful." I nodded. It was. We sat near a quiet street corner. Celine asked, "Where does that leave you now?" I looked ahead. "Here." She frowned slightly. "Just here?" I shook my head. "Not just here. Finally here." Victor called me that night. "Dinner tomorrow?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I'll be there." He paused. "You sound different." I replied, "I am." Days passed again. Life didn't rush anymore. It moved normally. Ethan continued building my career back step by step. Victor stayed like family. Celine didn't try to fix anything. She just stayed present. And that was enough. One evening, Celine and I sat on a rooftop. She looked at the city lights and asked, "Do you regret anything?" I answered without hesitation, "No." She turned to me. "Not even her?" I shook my head slowly. "I don't regret loving her. I said. I just regret believing I was chosen. Celine stayed quiet. Elena never returned in the same way again. Sometimes I saw reminders. Sometimes I heard her name. But it didn't pull me back anymore. She became something distant. A chapter that no longer opened itself in my mind. I once thought revenge would fix everything. That it would heal the emptiness inside me. But I was wrong. Revenge only burns the past. It doesn't rebuild the present. What rebuilt me was something quieter. Or truth. People who stayed. And the version of me I slowly learned to respect again. I looked at Celine one night and said, "You know what I learned?" She asked, "What?" I said, "Sometimes the deepest betrayal is not losing someone." I paused. It's realizing they never truly chose you. Celine didn't speak. She just nodded slowly. And in that silence, I finally understood everything I went through was not just an ending. It was a beginning I didn't see coming.